Now we obviously have Agonia with us. Because... well... we're always playing together. So...
True.
What?
True.
Yeah. It's just kind of this thing we have going, like, I protect you, I heal you, and you kill.
And I beat Rukudiora solo.
Probably because I have problems beating Rukudiora. Oh no, I need to... Nope, I need to reload this because I didn't plug in my goddamn controller.
Yep, you forgot.
I forgot. Time of Walking Dead Season 1. I mean, honestly, Walking Dead Season 1 was generally really good. I totally agree with that, Claire. I genuinely like when they made adventure games just a little bit more. I showed you Sam and Max. I think they're just still the peak. But also, like, they're not the narrative games, so I think you could probably discern it a bit. It's highly recommended, actually. Like the early stuff of Telltale, really good stuff.
So what's the plan?
Okay, the plan is basically...
We have like 2 to 3 options.
Mm-hmm.
We could just do Gravios.
Yeah.
We have lots of Gravios to do.
Fair point. We could start with that to just show it off a bit.
Sure. But next up would be Xena 4, so I don't know how much we can show off.
You mean...
Also
do we
heavy
survive?
tailbone.
What?
I got a heavy tailbone
Oh.
from my farm.
There we go.
Other than that, we could also try to do the other armor parts I'm working on.
Yeah, some stuff from there. Sounds good. That sounds really good, actually.
It's more variety.
Fair point. I mean, I said we could start with some... how's it called?
Big erupting mountain.
Big erupting mountain, considering I posted memes, well, not memes, but like I posted about the big erupting mountain before, so I think we should maybe start with the big erupting mountain. There we go. But yeah, honestly, Claire, the early Telltale stuff I can just highly recommend. It's really good. I mean, I know you saw Sam and Max, but like even that Monkey Island one is, in my opinion, really good. Like, I know people hated on them because it's one of those situations where people were like, oh, it's not from LucasArts again and such, but like, Monkey Island 4 was okay. Tales from Monkey Island was generally good. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, but it's so short and stuff, but like, it was good. Like, if you play them all together, it's like, yeah, that's a good adventure. You just have some great time. You have some good jokes. You have some funny situations. And like, I think the best part that they managed to do is because, I think the biggest problem a lot of adventure games can fall into, which is like, since the beginning they did that, okay, is the fact that they usually have 1 or 2 very large areas to explore, and they kind of want you to bounce between a lot of parts. Meanwhile, I'd say every episode in Tales from Monkey Island is actually condensed to one place. It's like it's like, okay, you have like literally Monkey Island with the town, and then maybe you go outside a bit, but like it's so condensed that it's just working really well. Like you have some, you still have to think a little bit, but the puzzles are actually very well self-contained. So even if they might need a little bit of like, okay, what could be the next thing? This isn't gonna be like a big treasure hunt and or big thing, because like you can actually pass it really well. I know some people are like, oh, but that made me breeze through everything. Sure thing, but also like I don't think adventure games should be inherently long ass things that people oh there you are.
I still need you to write down the heavy tailbone, unless I don't need one.
Oh right, no, you definitely need one. Sorry,
We have all.
we literally have like a document going on right now, because we're kind of working on the pieces for Argonia's armor, and so okay, basically, to upgrade Zenith armor, they basically have 7 levels instead of using just armor spheres. So the heavy tailbone, now you only need 4. They actually need stuff, Zenith stuff.
Well, the first 2 have 1 upgrade level each.
It's 1 upgrade level each, and then the 3rd and 4th is 7 levels, which is like overall you have like that's 16 levels. And also you just continuously farm stuff together. So yeah, and how should I put it in the best way? So yeah, we just have like a little list going, and just be like, okay, how do you do that? Time to cook. Depending on how long this gets, you will definitely make me read it a little bit more later, right?
Yep.
Okay. Why were your eyes closed?
I don't know.
It looked so funny that you're like, eyes closed, focused. I just realized one thing I could also just put up. Because, I always, I always talked about, how Zenith Gravius ends us, or ends someone. I should just fucking retweet that, so...
Do I have enough wings already?
No, you don't.
Good.
So. How was your week, though? How's everything going? So, by the way, the heavy wings, you still need 28.
Good. Because this thing mostly drops those.
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay. Let's see that it doesn't kill us instantly. Right, when it sucks us in, I need to turn around, right? That was the...
I read that once. You should have read it yourself and processed. If you didn't, don't ask me.
Let's look outside. Oh, I mean, obviously a good game, but like, what kind of genre? I guess Borderlands. We killed that a bunch.
It's not... It's Borderlands.
Really? Yeah, Borderlands was something else.
Yes, indeed it is. Borderlands. It's the whole leech thing.
Right. Okay, wait.
I love this attack. Just hitting head. Still interesting, like the whole fight and the way we move in this game
Yeah.
is way more clunky, quote unquote, in comparison to modern Monster Hunter. But
It's precise.
this fight gives so much more pressure. And I died.
Yeah. Oops.
Too much SFX and stuff. Couldn't see anything. And it's VFX.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting, but like, I mean, the thing is that there's like a lot more effects, like not effects, AoE stuff going on, which is very fitting for Gravius actually. Then you also have the thing that just the whole they reduced status effects so much in the newer games.
I mean, you can't really compare Zenith with what we have now in Wilds because Wilds only includes high rank.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be fair.
When it's taking clues from Zeniths.
Yeah, true. But then again, high rank 5, hardcore Teostra. Hello.
Yeah.
Oops. Nope. Not a chance.
You.
If I'm laying down, even with full health.
Yeah, understandable. I just was like, maybe, but no.
No, not really.
I mean, maybe there is a little bit more in this flashback episode of Crooks, but like, I will only say it's gonna be a good episode again for once because it's not about the new stuff. Honestly, it's kind of amazing how everything where they just retread the old series is just has style and energy and knows what it wants to do, and then the rest of the and the rest of the show is just it's just such a mess and not really going anywhere. So yeah,
Stuff has happened.
I don't understand why people like it this much. Like, here's the thing. I can understand enjoyment in a series, but I cannot understand because the series just legitimately does nothing. Every time people say it's peak, they never care to explain what that means
or why it's peak
or why it is. And if they're actually getting a little bit pressure, they're like, yeah, it actually might be bad, but there could be something coming. And it's like, listen, the series is so far just baiting you. It's only saying, there could be something. How? I mean, listen, Claire, I don't want to, I know this sounds maybe a bit uppity, but like, there aren't any characters currently going on. Shuji is nothing. We know barely anything about Machu. We know less about Nia. And the worst part is that people who keep saying they have great characters they're just headcanoning the most. Like, I think the best example I can give is that everyone keeps, looking at the...
Uh-oh. That's the move.
Okay, I should not have turned around. Whoops, yeah. Okay,
We did.
we dead.
We did.
Oh, maybe we should do something else.
Yeah, the easier one. We haven't played Zenith 4 yet.
Yeah, so we...
Just read up on it a bit.
So we're gonna kill a Zenith 3 one?
Yes.
Okay. That's the thing. Most of the characters, like, in the show, do not say shit besides surface level stuff.
You mean Machu has the bullet point of goes on a girls' school and is sporty.
Yeah.
And is in a love triangle that got blown up.
And, like, that's it. The rest is just is gesturing at very surface level shit. And, like, I know people say, like, oh, but she kicked the cop in the balls. Here's the funny thing.
That technically underlines her character because it wasn't really necessary at that point.
But, like, that's the thing. The irony about that scene is...
But at least it's like, okay, she is against what he's doing and she's willing to take action. In that sense, it characterizes her.
But you know what the worst part about that is? If you rewatch that scene, it wasn't her hating cops. It was her hating that they bothered Neon. And also, what also is pretty interesting is that this scene said fucking nothing. And I mean, like, you could say, oh, but it says something against cops. Maybe, but as I said, it's like...
Surface level.
Surface level. You could interpret it that way, surely. But also, like, they started actually talking about the immigrant thing, and the kid cut everything off. That's the problem with crooks I have. They are pointing at things that are, especially popular in leftist circles, and that are topics that are generally... covered by Gundam, but they are just pointing at it. They never actually, work up the scenario. They never go in depth. They just generally point at it like, the police is kind of bad, and, immigrants are getting treated badly. But it never really takes the time to actually talk about any of it. It is amazingly surface level. And again, that kick is so infuriating for me because the moment this show could have actually started talking about the topic, it literally just cut it off. And now people pretend like it's the best scene ever. Like, sorry.
I mean, if it's just, like you looking at it without any context, yeah, it's a funny scene. As said, it also characterizes Machu a bit. But...
Claire, that is to a degree correct, but like, you realize how much you read into it on top of that. Because at that point, yeah, she made a hasty decision, but again, that scene still cut off a fuck ton of talking about the actual setting of the show. And then it always keeps teasing.
It's kind of weird that we still need to characterize a character after 7 episodes.
That's the next thing. You need to keep in mind, the next one is episode 8. It's gonna be a flashback. Episode 9, as everyone says, oh, now something interesting could happen. It's a 12-episode thing. Right now, the interesting stuff might happen at episode 9. You always characterize characters, that is true, but like, Machu is getting the most surface-level treatment of it all. And trust me, most people are currently just headcanoning shit.
It's not like Machu is much of a character in the first place.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you say everything they do is characterization, to a degree, yes. But also...
not very much.
They're not doing a lot. Again, the series, if you really rewatch it, is horribly afraid to actually go any deeper than surface level stuff. If you really, seriously, rewatch all those episodes and just check. What does the show say? What does the show show? And what did people say about that? I'm not saying you should not like the show. Like, here's the thing. We're currently watching it and I think it's okay. But I do not understand how people keep saying it is the best Gundam show so far, because it certainly is not. And a lot of things people claim it does, it either doesn't, or it is like maybe the weakest version the series has ever produced of it. And that is infuriating me, because
I haven't watched much Gundam. But I would still say that Crooks is by far the worst.
I got you through the original run of the show. That's more than what most people watched.
That's not really saying anything. It's not the point. Huh?
I just want to say it's like the show everything is based on, and people just...
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you want to talk with me, talk with the point I made.
Okay, you know what? Seed is actually absolute hot garbage, but you know the irony about Seed?
I watched Seed, I think.
Yeah.
That's why I said from the Gundam shows I watched.
I know, from the Gundam shows you watched, it definitely is the weakest, but yeah, Seed is definitely hot garbage. It tries to at least have some points, but yeah. That was bad. But hey...
At least trying a point would put it above Quarks already. Because Quarks isn't trying.
Yeah, Seed just had also very bad points, that's the thing.
Can't comment on that, but if you say so, probably it's true.
God damn it, I thought I could just turn around with that. Yeah, Seed, I'm still surprised that people like that show. Again. But again, I think the difference is more like Crooks is not really about a lot right now. Oh, it's about the whole assassination thing, which it's not anymore. Now they're in multiple factions. And turns out, Charlie was all the whole time in the third faction. Okay. I can already tell you what might happen in episode 9 or 10. Because it's oh wait, there's a third faction that wants to get rid of the Zabi family. Who could lead that? When it's not Shah Aznable, fucking Haman Khan will show up.
The last episodes were pretty nonsensical fan service to a degree. And I mean more like we already talked about the Psycho Gundam, and
yeah,
that doesn't make much sense in this scenario.
That's again one of those things where you say, yeah, what is the deal with the Red Gundam to a degree? But also, I don't know what's in the second flashback, no, and I will watch it on Tuesday. But the thing is, just yes, to a degree, you could say what is going on with Char and everything. That's the big thing because Char vanished just in the Zek Nova, so.
But then again, but that is only interesting because it's Char. Chess.
But also, at that point, I have to say that they just haven't done anything with that asset. That's the irony. We are, again, 8th episode is airing. Some crucial information is only getting handed out now. And otherwise, the show has not really done a lot to just even hint at the mystery.
Yeah, it's not even set up like a classic mystery.
Okay, Claire, you know what they could have done? They could have just made a prologue movie and just uploaded it to YouTube, you know, like they did with Witch from Mercury. That was like the best decision they made for Witch from Mercury. But
You could have. Oh.
okay. Okay, still save you.
I live. No, I'm dead. Couldn't roll through that one.
Fuck. Okay, I tried, but no.
No, too little health. But it's nearly dead anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they tried to make this into a whole movie is just stupid. Because, like... You know what the biggest problem with that is, actually? Basically, the beginning movie is that, and then, like, the first, I think, 2-3 episodes from the show? And you're like, okay. But also... And that's also kind of an interesting thing. Why did they make it as a movie? And the answer was, it was a prestige move. Like, with Witch from Mercury, they tried to make it as accessible as possible. With Crooks, they just were throwing the name around. But yeah, I mean, it is a hot mess right now, but like, there's a lot of stuff that's more like, you know, I don't think that should be denied that it's just not really happening, besides in a lot of people's minds. And the fact that Crooks' structure is basically only baiting for the next episode without... Yeah.
Didn't we talk about that? Like,
I said it
to a
before.
degree on Friday? Like,
Yeah.
for example, Kate did it like for something that was about a mystery in a story.
Yeah. Like, I mean, for the example that this Psycho Gundam actually just makes no sense to exist in that timeline. But, like, that's what I mean with... I feel like they are actually just at the fan service bait at this point in time.
Oh, we have done it.
Oh, it's done? Cool.
We could try cutting the tail.
Yeah, right. You do need a few of those. Holy shit, that is a big gaping wound. I do love how big that gaping wound just becomes. Like, they're like, oh hey, it's the Psycho Gundam. You know, ignoring everything how the Federation is still using the name Gundam, or how they, you know, just literally lost the technology for the Gundams and still apparently made the same fucking Gundam as in the Zeta timeline.
Even though that Gundam was designed for like more civilian suppression.
Yeah, it was a terror, you know, thing.
Weapon.
It was a terror weapon. So, like, yeah. Or, you know, the second mobile suit in the fight was also one from the Zeta universe, which is like, how the fuck did they end up with, you know, way more advanced technology right now? And, but just the fact that the pilots are stupid? Like, it's like, okay, you want to, I don't know how she's called again, like, Kusilia Zabi, I think? You want to kill her, okay. You're literally bringing out a fucking nuclear bomb to just kill her. And then the nuclear bomb just doesn't fire on first sight. What the fuck is wrong? Like, that is just awful. That is just an awful behavior. And then the nuclear bomb just gets cut out of the show. Like...
Yeah, because, like, I don't see any reason why the Psycho Gundam is in there except for fan service.
It was fan service. They could have made anything new, or, you know, hinted at it being similar. No, they just threw in the Psycho Gundam for, one episode to redo the, that scene from Hong Kong from Zeta. And that's like, wow. Because they kind of just did that, Like, it's the thing, I'm not telling people to not like the show. It's more like, I do not get why people keep saying things about the show that are not true. Like, I think some of the biggest things I feel is that people keep saying, oh no, this was totally not a love triangle, after the episode where it literally kind of spells out, no, those two girls were in love with Shuji for some reason. It's just like, Okay. God, why is this sail so high up? I hate it. Oh, hey, I don't doubt that they might believe that, but it's still funny because some of the people before that were like, no, this is totally not a love triangle, and then it just changes per week, and it's like, at some point you can clearly see that some of it is definitely just excuse making, and the excuse making keeps getting more and more.
Attention.
What? Yeah, sure. Sorry, I had to do it now.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you.
I mean, aside from the fact that there are certain people that had a big following and basically joined with Ritual Mercury and now behave like authority figures in the fandom, which is like, maybe don't behave like an authority figure when you have like watched one series and try to speak over like the old fan base. That's a bit rich of, But like that happens with a lot of games. Like, I know some people don't want to admit that, but for example, with Dark Souls, everyone nowadays is like, oh yeah, when you talk about lore videos, that's VatiVidya. But like, the guy made no fucking video about Dark Souls or Demon Souls until he realized those games were becoming popular. And then he hogged the space from, the old From Software game fans. And that happened a fuck ton. And that's something, that's fair to actually acknowledge that it happens. But yeah, I don't feel crooks. It's like, I'm watching a show that at best tries to repeat some topics and themes that Zeta and Double Zeta already did. And at worst, it just feels like fan service. Oh yeah, that's the cut. You know what? Zenith Gravia's tail looks meaty. I love it. That's a tail I want to eat. Like,
I wonder how much sinew is in there.
Oh, that's a good question, but like, the thing is slow and lumbering. Let's tell me what can I cut off the list?
3 heavy wings.
3 heavy wings. That makes it
Yeah, that's too
25. Sorry. Do you know the rest?
slow. No, you're too slow.
Okay.
Well, then next up here. Okay.
Yeah. Those.
So.
Oh, sure, but like
No, first is
heavy bones too.
2 heavy bones.
That puts it at 14. Yeah.
Another heavy wing.
That puts it at 24.
A heavy head shell.
Nice. That puts it at 9 now.
The high body.
Perfect. That means we have the high bodies down.
And another heavy wing.
Another herring. Wow, at 23 already.
So then I get you my inventory.
Also,
Then we can go back to stream. Okay.
That was not the point. It was more like, even if, some people still wrestled themselves into that sphere and pushed them out. Like,
So first
You know
of
the-
all, we were here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Fever shell.
I don't think we need fever shells. Nope.
Okay. Huge tailbone.
That's how many?
Huge tailbone.
Okay, then we have. You have the huge tailbones done?
And a heavy tailbone.
Damn, you had 3 out there already. Oh wait.
Now back to
Wait, sorry, that was 4. That.
you're terrible.
Yeah, I'm pretty terrible there. That's right.
Okay. Now back to stream.
Yeah. Someone doing stuff first doesn't make them better. That's not the point. You completely missed my point. The point was that someone came in and still pushed people out as an authority figure on the topic. And that is pretty shitty to do.
Well, pushing
Because,
out
like,
on YouTube videos is more like people start watching other people, right?
to a degree, yeah. Like,
What do you mean specifically?
okay, I mean, it's more like, okay. So you have some, Dark Souls gets big. Vati Vidya starts making, condensed lore videos. He does it in a very specific way to actually attract, new people. The thing with fandom authority, it's not fandom authority. I mean, to a degree, but it's also to a degree about knowledge. Like, for example, the old people know a lot more stuff about how things were in the games anyway. Vatividya could only do it to a degree surface level or read it up at that point. And he still he still positioned himself as the top authority, and also this actually just sucked out the space for, other people making stuff about From Software games. They could have also pivoted. But the thing is, that was, that's what pushing people out. Similarly, if you now look at something like Gundam, I know, getting people in, that's not a problem. People getting in and then using their already huge, follower base on social media, for example, to just push their takes through, even if those takes are wrong, don't know a lot of history or, context or, they weren't there when they saw the show. And basically taking away the air and also opposing the old fan base, that is to a degree shitty. And that is, by the way, mostly get justified by maybe the old fan base was shitty.
Could be.
And that's how you saw it a lot of times.
Well, like I get your point about, like, if you haven't watched much of a longer show like Gundam, that I get, but it's not necessarily like a no-go or something, because you can still analyze one season of Gundam, like Crux for example, on its own. Then again, you have the problem that lots of people apparently have so low cinematography knowledge that I didn't even know you could get that low.
I mean, that's another thing where I'm like, here's the thing. I know the older some people get, the more they want to talk about media, because it's like, like, especially when you're in leftist circles, media critique is kind of just a badge of honor to do. It's kind of a thing people just want to do because it gives you a certain sense of,
Also, we wanted to play.
Which one do we want to do next, by the way? Do we want to do something else than Zenith, Garabios?
We could.
Then you have to check what we should do next.
Well, change the SR if you want to do something different.
Well, I can change the SR when we know what we're doing different.
Rukidiora.
I don't think we want to try Rukidiora.
Then we have Hujikiki.
That's, No, that's what not I said. Claire, here's the thing. Sit down, look at what you wrote, think about how you arrived at that point. Okay? And remember what I said. Yeah, people like to talk about stuff they like, but the thing what I said is that people with not a lot of information wrestle their way into fandoms and take authority in those fandoms with less knowledge. I'm not saying people shouldn't watch a show and they shouldn't talk about a show, but that's the key difference. When someone who watched previous shows comes and is like, yeah, no, sorry, there's not that much going on in that, and you're new to the series, maybe take a little bit more of a humble approach than, trying to use your big fan base to silence those people, because that's happening a lot. That is genuinely happening a lot. And like, by the way, I think the most prominent example that where this happened is TTRPGs. I know I'm saying something that's probably not surprising anyone here, but like, a lot of people join TTRPGs without like prior knowledge. And they play it in groups without prior knowledge. In exchange with people without prior knowledge of it. And then they went online and talked absolute bullshit about how TTRPGs have to be played or enjoyed. And subsequently, if you remember, a lot of things they always said, like, oh yeah, the old fandom, that was always bad. That was like patriarchal and misogynistic and just don't care about it. But the fandom, the whole player base is currently, like, it's so fucked. Like, the biggest system is something where the people don't even know the goddamn, rules for. And that is because a lot of people with already existing fan bases really wrestled their way into an authority position. And that is a problem. And I know it's maybe not visible, but it is. Okay, we need one high needle.
Yeah, what do you want to do?
Oh, I already put it for Hyukiji.
Hyukiji,
yeah. Which one is high again?
High is 3.
High is 3, okay. But again, you need to keep in mind, I did not say that they shouldn't talk about the series without watching every prior series or so. Consider how you arrived at that conclusion from what I said. And this is like not, antagonistic to you. Just think how you arrived at that conclusion and, how that actually formed. Because if you know me, and I mean, you're here quite a lot of time, that I'm not that antagonistic. I'm actually encouraging people a lot to get into stuff. I want people to watch Gundam. But I also want people to understand Gundam. And I feel what currently is happening a lot is that basically a lot of people are watching Gundam, and there are a lot of people with big audiences that explain what is happening to them, but they also do not really know a lot of context either. And that is just killing a lot of the discourse right now. Because I think Crooks is an okay show. Its biggest crime, though, is that it actually does a lot of stuff surface level and really lets people headcanon a lot to fill in the gaps, and people take that as what the series actually does. And I think this is actually a really bad thing to go forward for, because, like, I do want Gundam to be about, talking about politics. I want them to talk about police violence. I want to talk to them about really heavy, shitty stuff. But I do not want it to be surface level. I want it that they actually... That's the thing. When you say it's necessary for a shorter show, then they should focus on a few things. They have the immigration issue. They could have used a lot of those first episodes to actually delve into the actual situation, what is going on, how repression manifests, what maybe people do against it, what's the general stance on it, etc., etc., etc. But right now, the only thing we know is that they're immigrants, they kind of live in the ghetto, and not really much more.
Also clan battles. They also don't matter.
Clan battles, they don't matter, which is like, again, I do think if... I talked with Zeb about that a while yesterday, and he said that, considering this should be about gladiatorial... Like, this show advertised itself with gladiatorial battles. This was, by the way, the original advertisement. Like, I know it's not about that right now, but, like, the show did advertise itself with, oh yeah, it's about the clan battles, and it is really not. It kind of sucks that, even if they,
When you have the whole pretentious math system, which is just, like, two people tactics. It's like,
yeah.
Where, like, okay.
But, like, that's also the thing. If it was about the clan battles, I wish they would start tinkering with the Gundam. That they jury-rigged shit onto it. Because, it's just kind of one of the things you expect for the show. But, it's not about that. But, like, it's also just a show where the clan battles happen. Like, there's one every episode, I guess, very shortly. And aside from that the witch episode, it's not really that important. And
there is never really a point about it besides like getting money, which at least drives the story forward. But there is no overarching point as in
even with the witch one, it's about. I like the Gundam's dwindling arsenal due to the protagonist being broke. I mean, the Crooks is still, that's the thing. The Crooks and the Red Gundam is still just, a very overpowered two very overpowered Gundams just
was there ever
wrecking everyone's shit.
Yeah, was there ever an ammunition problem? Did I not pay attention?
They never had really an ammunition problem. And I mean...
Or, anything? Iron Blooded Orphans had that.
I mean, they had to have a fucking war fund.
Yeah. That's why I'm now confused. There was, at least as far as I remember, nothing about that.
Oh fuck, we didn't take Bleed's shit.
I do. I always have.
Oh right, they had never guns, but they also never really needed guns. Yeah, Claire pointed out they never really used guns because they didn't have them. Which is
Guns? I'm not talking about guns.
Yeah, no, it was about the fact that the Crooks never had guns.
Oh.
But that was never a problem, so,
Yeah.
It's just a bit And yeah, I think the biggest problem for me is always that if something is brought up, it never really has any real impact on a larger thing.
That should have come earlier then.
Sorry, yeah. I mean...
I don't think there's anything they could ever do to make a qualitative change to the show.
I don't really think the final episodes are gonna be... I hope, honestly, they pull it off in 9, 10, 11, 12, the last 4 episodes. But I doubt that because, it's the last 4 episodes, so...
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, as much as I, bitch around here, I think the key part is more that, this is more about how things will be remembered down the line. For example, I know that a lot more people are nowadays also souring on Witch from Mercury, because, with time, the series isn't the fresh one anymore, and people are maybe it wasn't that good, and
yeah, it wasn't.
And true. I had some good stuff in season 1. I'm
still wondering why it took them so long.
Group dynamics. To a degree. And I think the thing about Crooks is more right now I'm just very much kind of bored. And I know some other people's where that is the case, especially when they're, I know someone who's actually showing it to, to people that are new to Gundam, and they're just also kind of bored. Which especially, Guts,
Oh, wasn't that the person where the people watched the...
They watched the second episode and were oh yeah, I want to see where that is coming from, but that's probably also the next thing I just... I feel I know what you say, but I feel Gundam, Witch from Mercury, in hindsight, probably never really had any plan. They've had character ideas, but it definitely feels in hindsight as if they were writing things and just were we figure this out later, and they never figured it out later. I mean, especially, watching, House right now on the site, it's it is kind of glaring how much there's a difference in, especially since it is a very character-focused show, and like, I know you could say, oh, how's, long episodes, but like, that's not the point. Like, there are a lot of shows where you can have like a lot of characterization in very short time.
I mean, a slow-paced, the original Gundam show is, most characters are fastly, like, sufficiently characterized after a very short amount of time. Say it like that.
Oh yeah, like, the thing is, Char shows up and you know his whole deal in one episode. But like, there's also the interesting part about that, I'm just blocking through Spiky Boy here. Oh, fuck. Oh, thank you. I do have Bleed Cure though.
Yeah, but if I use it, then it's better if I use it like that.
Yeah, true. True. I mean, yeah. But like, for example, a good example is that, the second to the last episode about Howl season 6, a show about a season about, where he does actually a lot of things right. Like, he cares about people. And that was dodging the super instant death attack. I don't think you saw it, but... Ah, fuck. Like, the episode has him, saving someone from, under rubble, doing everything, to, saving her leg. Then he's like, no, I actually need to amputate now. And then the patient dies because of a fat embolism. A thing no one could have prevented. And, like, he's even spelling it out. He did everything right. And the patient still died. And that's like, that's the thing. I do want, I actually want them to make a Gundam show about, underground battles. And, maybe make it, like, really character-driven and such. But, like, then I do want the underground battles to reflect that. Even if it's cheesy that, like, oh, hey, this one mobile suit they're fighting against is just kind of it's just a metaphor for what the characters are going through in this very episode. And yeah. My god. Honestly, I really love Hyuji Kiki. It's such a great design for a monster, actually.
The Z version is a bit too spicy.
The Z version is over the top, yes.
Even for a flying porcupine monster.
I pressed X!
Your timing was wrong!
Fuck! That was embarrassing!
It's fine. For the first time here, Hyuji in over like half a year.
Yeah, I literally was like, oh yeah, and I have to press it now, and they're like, too late? What? Fuck. No. Ah, that was... Why is it always like, I'm not streaming. Wow, the hunts go well. I am streaming.
Because streaming you have less concentration.
I know, but like still, it's just...
No.
We want to try it again? By the way, she's amazing. I mean, she's just like, you know, the G-rank quest maiden, but I love her design.
How about we do Rukodiora? Like, the main purpose of streaming this game is showing some monsters off. So it's fine if we die.
Zenith Ruko then?
Yeah.
Which level?
3.
Okay, I do my best then.
3 doesn't have the grip.
That's true.
Grab.
Yeah. Also, you know what's cool about her? When you don't visit her in the clan hall, where she's like in the dark, nice corner, she actually has a little umbrella to protect her from the sunlight, which is stylish as fuck. No, wait, I don't need anything else than affinity and defense, I suppose.
Yep. Both need the same. Because those are just monsters that fuck you up without Zenith Blights.
Time to do Magnet Dragon, I guess. Hopefully we get 1 kill now. But yeah, it's like...
I just need the wings, so it should be relatively easy.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is more like, again, how will Crooks stand in the future? Because right now, a lot of people are into the show and are very much defending it. And it's like...
Yeah, but that's kind of like every new Gundam show nowadays. People are irrationally defending it for no reason.
It feels very much as a lot of people got very defensive about it. And I do not know why. It feels just like... Like, here's the thing. I like Gundam... But, like, I don't know. I don't hold that much value against it.
Yeah. That sentence makes no sense.
No, I don't hold that much value to it. You know, it's still a show and it has to prove itself every new season, in my opinion.
True.
Yeah, I know, but, like, I think the weirdest part for me is, like, still, like... It feels a lot like group pressure, you know? Especially in online circles. As if people are like, oh no, this is the greatest new show. And everyone's like, totally. Because again, Witch from Mercury... also is now getting a lot more, it wasn't that good. Okay. Fuck. Make the dragon...
I have forgotten.
What?
It has the dragon element. I have a problem.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. So
That the dragon has the dragon element?
So you're saying we're fucked?
Maybe.
I wish people wouldn't get hyped about things. Like, enjoying things on their own? Sure, I'm totally down with that.
Even getting hyped about stuff is technically fine.
It just feels like, especially in online circles, it's kind of toxic nowadays.
Like, it's different between, oh, I like this show and the show is the best there ever was.
I mean... You could have told me you needed some healing.
You can't hear me. Dragon Blight.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem. Do we want to get this mission?
No, let me try at least.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in that sense, I could say Crooks is actually like really hard tapping into that because like every a lot do. Honestly, I've seen a lot of people say this is like the best show so far and it's peak Gundam, and I just sit there being like, not really. But also, like, I think, yeah, as you say it, Crooks is actually, as I said, is playing actually really heavily into that social media element because a lot of stuff just happens, then gets teased for the next shows, like, for the next season, like, oh, for the next episode, like, oh, what could happen next? And repeat the cycle.
can't hear me. We had that.
I had to get my stamina refreshed. Yeah, we definitely should do something about the Dragonblight.
Yeah.
Zenith's Dragonblight is evil. I mean, I'd say this is a very specific case even because, especially if you look at stuff like, you know, the Psycho Gundam, it's like one of the biggest fucking teasers you could do. Like, okay, you bring basically back again a nuclear weapon, even in, you know, Gundam terms, and then it's out of the show in the next episode. And
after it recreated the famous scene.
It's like, okay. Like, the show is really answering a lot, and it's more like, you know, it brings something up, kind of throws it. Oh. How did that kill me?
No stamina?
I had stamina. Weird.
Then let's change to Dragonblight and try it again, okay?
You know what I just realized what Crooks is doing to a certain degree? It's doing the shit the Resident Evil movies is doing.
I mean, yes.
I mean, I know people...
But better.
Okay, I know this might get
better.
people... yes, a lot better. Like, it's not even doing it this blatantly because it's different movies, but, like, you know... But, like, I know this might set some people off, but, like, let me tell you. Let me explain to you. It's basically, they come up with something and they tease something, you know? For example, oh, the Psycho Gundam. Again, I have my own problems with it, but like... you're like, oh, this is gonna be like a Psycho Gundam, Bask Ohm, they're gonna be a centerpiece of, you know, the next episodes, because like... those are some big names suddenly being brought into the show. And then they don't matter and just leave after the next episode. It's like, again, the the Resident Evil movies were like, for example, hey, there is now Dragon is 27. I need all resist up. Holy shit. It's like, oh hey, the clone army is coming and they're going to take down Umbrella, and then the next movie starts and it's no. That thing gets resolved in 2 minutes, and the rest is about something completely different. And they kind of keep doing that in Crooks as well. You know, they were like, oh, look, here's something, and then it just kind of gets resolved in like 2 minutes, and it moves on to something else.
In that sense, I'm very glad that they resolved the love triangle very quickly by bringing up another topic and then disintegrating one angle.
Yeah. Claire, okay, here's the thing. That is... I don't know if you mean it, but here's the thing. That question about was the Psycho Gundam being the focus of the show actually is like...
Huh?
Yes. Like, they do not introduce the Psycho Gundam. Like, a really key element of an arc from Zeta Gundam and Bask Ohm. Like, one of the... Like, the main antagonist of Zeta Gundam. Okay? It does. Like, that's the Claire. I know this is like... This is actually splitting hairs on your end. And I need you to see this full picture. If the Psycho Gundam isn't relevant, why was it there? They could have done anything else. Anything.
I mean, it already makes no sense that it exists in this timeline.
Yeah. The Psycho Gundam specifically being brought back with Bask Ohm, and it's being such a gigantic callback, is specifically so people who know what the Psycho Gundam is capable of and how Bask Ohm operates is setting up expectations. Like, very specific expectations. This isn't something you drop and it's like, you know, and you know, it gets resolved by the Psycho Gundam just randomly going actually after some clan bad people and then just getting blown up by mobile armor. Okay, here's the thing. I know what you're reducing it to because that's what it amounted to. But again, and this is why I always say, this is why I see media analysis key. In the previous episode, this was set up as something big. Like, that's the thing. Because, again, if it was the Federation Black Ops attack, they could have used
didn't
anything.
even attack, by the way.
I mean, it failed horribly. They tried to assassinate her, that's the thing.
They haven't even tried.
Yeah.
They brought a machine there and she never once fired. She could have fired the whole time.
Ah, that was so embarrassing. And, like, here's the thing. You're breaking it down to what it was in the end. But, again, how things are portrayed in the previous episode, it was definitely, like, saying this is the Psycho Gundam and setting them up as, like, a faction. Because, you know, oh, hey, the Federation also has their hand in the whole thing. That was deliberate. That was there to heighten expectations, and then it never became anything. Just to say, oh, was this maybe not the plan all along? Just says the show was written really badly, because why would they stoke expectations like that? You know, except for maybe cheap fan service. That's the thing. The Psycho Gundam ultimately didn't serve any relevant role.
Yeah,
And
with everything that's happened in the show so far, the Psycho Gundam might as well just not have been there.
yeah. And again, cannot be only for this. I know what you mean, but Claire, this is a bad argument.
Huh?
Like, I know the show should not be only be for people who have seen Zeta, but again, why bring the Psycho Gundam then in anyway? Because you do not, and I mean that literally, go and make like bring in a big name from a previous show in a setting that is an alternate version to that universe. You know, it's stoking expectations deliberately. So I can't block that.
What can you block? Can't you block?
I can't block the laser.
Which laser?
The front laser.
He has two.
The big one where he swipes twice.
Oh, yeah, you never could.
How? That's bullshit. And that makes it still bad writing. You see that, right? Because here's the thing. You do not bring something big back and make callbacks should be deliberate. Sometimes they can be not. Like, for example, that, you know, the Gelgogs in the show are called Gelgog, but, you know, they don't look like Gelgog because the Gelgog development line is now different in that universe. I mean, sure.
In general, I have to say, since it is an alternative timeline,
and that's
the whole thing is set up for people who have watched the old show. That's the premise of it.
Yeah. Also, and that's also something where you're actually sadly wrong, because if you're setting something up as an alternate timeline to a show about a lot of philosophical questions, you inevitably kind of comment about that show, or want to comment about that show.
In simpler terms, the past exists.
Yeah. Like, that is also, again, basic media stuff. Like, yeah, you don't just go and be like, oh yeah, there's an alternate universe, but like, we're just gonna nitpick things to look cool. No, and especially, again, a Gundam show should do better. It should actually be about something, especially when it, you know, tries to explore alternate timelines from the original show. Like, that is why I'm saying your argument right now is very weak. It seems maybe logical on the surface, but the thing is, like, the thing you're saying right now, Claire, is basically, why should things matter? And the answer is, holy shit, we're talking about the Gundam show. Shit should matter. I mean, I think we can agree on that, right? Like, if they bring up something from the old shows, it should matter in some way. Like, how characters from the old show behave now and what their agenda is, having changed from before. It should matter. Just saying, why should it matter? Like, it should.
You're not making a good point right now, by the way.
Also, just media where things don't matter, especially in context of media that came before. I don't think I will be good against that. I forgot that.
And just stay out of it. I kill it myself. Okay.
I should just stay in camp?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you can also talk better because right now you're not articulating your points very
My
well.
point is that if you make something when you make an alternate universe of a show, an alternate timeline of a show that was about a lot of big questions, and nothing matters where it is similar or different from the old timeline, then why does this show exist? Why isn't it its own thing? Those are kind of key things, because again, if it just is set in an alternate UC because it looks cool, that's kind of making it worthless. Media should matter. I don't know, this is such a fundamental thing to say, in my opinion, because
Oops. I wanted to hear, but I wasn't fast enough. The animation was a split second.
I don't think we should do Ruko Diora from Zenith 3 onwards together if I don't have Hedon. If I have Hedon, I can shred the thing.
But since you two have a discussion right now, you can just continue that, I would say. Because that's too much for a stream focused on Endgame Monster Hunter.
Do we have something easy in the Endgame part?
It's Endgame.
Not even Blangonga?
No.
Okay.
Nothing. So how about you do a good discussion or something?
Yeah, that's the thing. Media should matter in some sort. I know sometimes it's oh, but what if a media just wants to be fun? True, but here's the thing. If you, for example, the person I talked about that is also I'm talking about that's also a bit bumped by Crooks. He started watching Keijo recently. Keijo is a stupid show. It's such a dumb premise because it's literally going, hey, how about girls fighting with their asses to punch them off a floating platform?
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah. But but that's the thing. It still presents that absolutely dumb premise in an insanely serious way. And still puts a whole lot of effort.
I mean, it's also a 12 episode show, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters are way more developed.
Yeah, also Claire. If you say the show just isn't enough to fully explore every element of a universal century that is reused, here's the thing.
I mean, that's true, but it doesn't even try to explore anything.
That's not even the point.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So,
first of all,
you don't claim to me what not my point is, okay?
Fair. But yes, it but first of all, it doesn't actually need to do that much. It could actually select a few things it wants to talk about and hyper focus on that. But the key thing here is, and I think that is actually kind of a key point about that. You know what the big upside of an alternate timeline is? The original show already did the setup and explaining. If you bring something in from a show with so heavy symbolism as Gundam, you can actually just pick elements where a lot of people already know what it would mean, and you do not need to explain a lot about them and put them in a different context. That is why such spin-off shows and alternate timelines can actually work as very small shows, because a lot of the effort has been done by, let me just think about it, roughly 120, if not more, episodes of 3 series coming before it. They can put in characters that people already know. You can. That's wrong. What you're saying right now, Claire, is wrong. You can make a show that only works if you've seen original Gundam and Zeta and Double Zeta. You can totally make that, because here's the thing: Zeta and Double Zeta are literally set up that you understand the big picture by seeing the previous shows. The thing is, what you wanted to say probably is that this won't fly. And true, companies will say, no, you have to make every show accessible. But it's wrong to say you can't make a show like that. You can totally make a show like that. It has been done before, it can be made later. This is a business decision, what you're talking about. They add almost continuously, this is 40 years later, and they add continuously over multiple years. And still, if they wanted to do one of those shows, they could still do it. Nothing, again, what you're claiming is business prevents them from doing that. And even then, as I said, they could still condense it to a much more digestible degree instead of, throwing shit around.
Even if they wouldn't, and it would be like a completely self-contained station thing with the whole UC only being a sideshow with only their original characters and everything, Crooks would still have the problem of not being about anything right now.
It's not really about anything. That's its biggest problem.
There's some themes being brought up and vaguely pointed to.
Yeah.
But it doesn't try to explore any one of them.
I mean, the most interesting part about that is, by the way, that ironically, the moment they remade the original show, it got a lot of people invested in Char. But also mostly because they repeated a lot of shit the original show did, which was very efficient at actually introducing a lot of original concepts. And right now, Crooks is neither relying on, introducing the original concepts really, really well per episode, or making use of, people actually know what in the original show these things meant. It does neither. And that's the thing. Again, what you said is too many elements could overwhelm the show, then they should reduce them. You can't just make a show that's completely callback. That's wrong. That's factually wrong. You can do that. It would be for a few sickos, but again, in terms of media, you can do that. The only thing stopping you is business. And if business stops you, then rethink how you want to structure your show. And I know that this kind of style is kind of the thing from the director.
Question. What is meant with too many elements are overwhelming?
It's a thing of if you throw a lot of stuff from the Universal Century at the wall, and then
Not Universal Century, it's too much stuff is overwhelming. That's what you said.
It's about and elements brought in cannot consume the show. It's about that the show isn't only about the UC, but it should be about its own thing. Which yes, but then also
I agree. I would even say that all the flashbacks could be cut out because they're not relevant to the show.
That should be a prequel thing.
That doesn't mean it. I don't care what it should be. I'm just talking about the show. At least then we would have a case for the Psycho Gundam being there, because the whole prequel episodes deny that the Psycho Gundam should even exist in the first place.
That's the thing. By the way, that's the thing, yeah.
It can't exist logically.
It can't exist, especially in this one-to-one way.
Yeah.
And if it did, it actually throws up a lot of questions, but, not answering. It's just, here's the Psycho Gundam.
I would already arguing that, we have Macho School. it's vaguely there. Mm-hmm. We have the clan battles. Vaguely there. The fights have a more prominent role, but yeah, there isn't really much going on either from a tactical or world building side, or like supplies and costs, nor is it really much used to develop characters and the internal strife or everything else. It's just about Machu finding the Pika Pika with the guy who dies.
Shuji.
Okay, yeah.
Rest in piss. You won't be missed.
Yeah. Then we have Nyan, which is, I would say, the potentially interesting character. The most potentially interesting character in the whole show.
Yeah.
But every one of those points is pretty much just, the episode is over, let's throw it away, something new comes that also won't get explored. It's like, the show has already too much elements to explore anything on a satisfying level.
Yeah, but like, I think here the irony is that I think this probably comes down to a degree on the director. Because, like, okay, I hope you all have seen Fooly Cooly. I know you don't. I will show it to you. Mm-hmm. It's a great show. And the thing is, Fooly Cooly is also kind of structured in a very random way. Like, it throws shit at you at times. It's just like, things happen now. And sometimes stuff mattered, sometimes stuff didn't matter. But it works in Fooly Cooly because, A, the show revels in sometimes in its being like just going over the top, being a bit absurd, but also because it is highly emotional. Like, when this show goes into emotions, they're really raw and real. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest problem is that they try to adapt that style onto Gundam, a show that is, especially UC Gundam, a setting that is very steeped in intimate character moments, that tries to really go into, those, you get, you see plans and characters unfold in front of your eyes. And true, Gundam was at times just very blunt with its messaging. Like, I mean, my best example is, which is kind of interesting that no one brings up, like, Zeta Gundam was literally about, the older generation, the adults, destroying everything, even if they meant it well, and trying to beat the youth into their desired shape. Literally, like, Camille gets fucking beaten. The autistic child is getting beaten to be straightened out and be not, usable by the adults. It wasn't really subtle in that regard. But it's a very, very different style, and I think Crooks would probably have, Crooks would have probably been a lot more, would probably have worked better if it was its own universe. If they actually were allowed to make their own universe and actually make it a little bit more over the top. And I think that what kind of clashed here was that probably they did just want to make a UC show to a degree, which is like, I get it, a lot of, especially in Japan, in the anime industry, so many people are fans of original Gundam. Period. That's just a thing.
I mean, since the series is still very much accessible because we're living in the information age,
you can just watch it.
It doesn't even matter how long ago it was aired or anything.
I mean, Zeta Gundam and Double Zeta were on YouTube. Are on YouTube.
They still are?
I think they still are. I think they still had them on there.
I can look.
And, like, that's a thing. But also, like, actually, today is the best time to make something about the show from, Zeta Gundam English sub. It's just there. To make it about, an old show like that, because everyone can just watch it all the time. It's accessible. I think it should have been its own thing, but I think the irony is
Double Zeta's there.
That, like, I think this director should actually make his own show. But, and this is kind of a key thing, it should be its own thing. And also, the people at Sunrise should be a lot more open to making something like G Gundam again, because that would fit the style so much more, actually. Okay, on that note, can we just talk about how it's infuriating that we haven't had a G Gundam style show in like decades? As you said, we got Seed, a show that just, I don't even know if they wanted to, just said eugenics are cool and bloodlines are right, and like, yeah, that's bad. That really is fucking bad. I hate shows that do that, and I hate Seed with a passion. Like, it's like, I get Gundam shows trying to be serious and dark. I feel like they kind of forgot how to make them good. Mostly hate how many shows there are that do that. You mean the whole Bloodlines thing? Yeah. Like, I mean, there is a reason why I fucking since I have love with eugenics. Yeah, like there's a reason I say that like it's always this really shitty shorthand, especially like for example, I actually like Demon Slayer. It's a simple show, but it does a lot of things right with its characters. And then the thing to defeat the antagonist is not, hidden knowledge or something, which they could have written it like that. It's just the protagonist knows that because his dad did that and he has it in his blood. It's like, wow, that is kind of embarrassing, actually. Like, they could have simply made it so as if they, he remembers some stuff and maybe figures it out with his friends. And they all incorporate it at once. That would soften that blow so much to not make him that special and would work. But like,
One Piece does that relatively well.
I fucking love One Piece because One Piece is the biggest fucking middle finger to bloodline eugenics writing in the history of writing. And like, I was a much more spiritual element to Demon Slayer. I know, but like, it still verges on that, only he does it and stuff like it. It's not the worst offender, it's just like, even that kind of dips more into that. And meanwhile, yeah, that is the other thing. I mean, I will fucking, if that is in the next season, I don't know, I still have to watch the final one. And I like it. Don't get me wrong, I really like Demon Slayer. It's one hell of a good show and one hell of a good adaptation, but like, I so fucking hate it when, like, when things are, always going back to bloodline stuff. And I mean, I think that is actually probably why I do love Jujutsu Kaisen to a degree. And I will say that I think the anime is ironically the better adaptation of the show. But there's afraid enough to not actually have the chance to learn it. I mean, yeah, I know, but like, they could have done it. It could have been written a little bit better, is what I'm saying. They kind of still do it to do a chosen one thing, and that kind of sucks. But like, the thing is, if you look at, for example, at Jujutsu Kaisen, what I like is that show is like, no, bloodline stuff is kind of hard coded in that whole society, but it explicitly sits down and says it sucks. Those bloodlines are bad and worse and shouldn't matter. And in fact, the fact that the group grows above each other because they're basically a very disaster polycule, that is what makes this series actually, in my opinion, good, because it still is like, it still takes the position of, even if it exists, it shouldn't matter, and people should grow above it. Like, I mean, holy shit. So how is he called again?
So it brought up topic and made a point.
I mean, literally, one character just massacres her whole family. She's just done with it at some point. She just kills them.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, One Piece, amazing, because it's just the biggest middle finger to Bloodline 3. Like, I know how many people are like, oh, Luffy is the son of Roger, and then it was like, nope, his father is actually just some deadbeat dad off on the other side of the world starting a rebellion. And everyone's like, oh, is that relevant? Dragon just helps him at some point, and then it's just like, yeah, go do your own thing. And then it's like, oh, but who's his grandpa? Fucking Garp. And like, that's the interesting thing. Luffy is like, the interesting part is that it always is about inherited will. And that is such a good angle, because inherited will actually makes what makes us us. It's what's actually getting passed down through generations, which is like, Luffy's just like Roger. But so everyone's like, yeah, he kind of carries the will of Roger, but a lot of people carry the will of Roger because Roger wanted to set off a big pirate age. He didn't care who did it. Interestingly, though, do you know whose will Luffy actually carries? Ace. His brother died, and Luffy takes over his will, and Whitebeard's will for that matter. Whitebeard, as he knows he's dying, entrusts his crew and says to them, save that kid specifically. Because he sees himself in him. A guy all caring about family, found family. Holy shit, found family is just like the biggest concept in One Piece. Like, biological families suck so hard, actually. Like, I think the only family that doesn't suck is Nefeltaris. Like literally, Cobra is the only dad that is not shit. And even then...
Except the ones that get killed.
And the one guy who was actually super strong from birth failed and only succeeds in what knowledge he passed down to others. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff about it, but I really hate bloodline shit. And you know what? I'm actually so ready that there is just some dumb reveal who's Machu's father is, or Nian's father, and I'm just
why are people even thinking about that?
I hate thinking about it. It's a worthless thing.
Until you said it. Right now. I have never once thought about that because it isn't important.
It isn't. It should actually not be important. But, yeah. Bloodlines just keep popping up because, ooh. That's the interesting part. Just, who defined Luffy? And I think the most interesting part, is that, as I said, Luffy carries the will of a lot of people, but mostly Ace and Garp. And, that might seem anachronistic, but, Luffy's sense of justice definitely came to a degree from Garp. He's similar to that. He also hates shit and just punches it when he's like, no, this is wrong, fuck it.
But you know what, since we talked about, lots of people coming into Gundam with Witch from Mercury, specifically. You know what's kind of also the whole hype circle is about? Reaction YouTubers.
Oh, fuck me. Reaction YouTubers, reaction social media.
They weren't around for Gundam much in Iron-Blooded Orphan times. So...
God. I hate the fact that you bring this up.
Shut up.
Yeah.
My suggestion is actually that they might have contributed a lot of the toxic positivity we see out there. From the shows nowadays.
You know what I hate about this idea that you brought up? That probably, because I feel like a lot of shows nowadays are just, a lot of teaser baiting, basically. Yeah, fucking reaction YouTubers. They are making... I hate the fact that you bring it up, that it could very well be that a lot of shows nowadays are just made in a way that they get a lot of reactions on social media or, from reaction YouTubers to garner more hype. I fucking hate that.
Business-wise, it makes total sense.
Oh, it makes total sense. I hate that. I hate business.
I know.
Business should...
I agree with you.
Business should fuck out of art. It's hollowing it out. You know what the worst part about this is? It is the same as with so many things. Because, when industry forms, a lot of people don't know how things pan out. And it's also founded by people who are, to a degree, invested in their own thing. Here's the thing. Yes, to a degree, you have gotten through a lot of weirder films or video games when the genre was younger. And, Gundam also needed Space Battleship Yamato to happen, but still, they risk a lot more than that because, back then the mecha or, sci-fi genre was very much Mazinger. And not hating on Mazinger, but you see why Mazinger was just a dominant thing and people just kept doing Mazingers. So like, you got away with more because also to a degree the people at the top just cared more. They were still involved in the business to a degree. And even nowadays you can clearly see the divide between companies that are run by like literally just people there for managing the money versus companies where you can clearly see there are still people on the top invested to a degree in video games. Like, I mean,
also a suggestion for next time when you want to stream after Tales of Borderlands.
Yeah. Not Frontier?
Maybe not Frontier, because you talk a lot, and for Frontier I wouldn't actually have that bit of concentration.
Fair point. Probably more Helldivers then.
Something along those lines.
Yeah. Oh, Delta Force, that's also good to yap.
You could do that.
Yeah. What I wanted to say, like, oh yeah, about the gaming industry. There's an interesting thing I noticed recently because, what? Oh yeah, I will wrap up. Sorry. We need to get back to reading gay witch stuff. It's good, by the way. Like, wait, how's it called again? The book. Is it weird for a guy to apply to a witch school? Good book. It's very gay and trans. Don't worry. It's not gonna stay a guy for very long. And it's very gay afterwards.
You haven't read much of it.
It's still already very gay. Okay? And it fits what you said. It has gender bender and gay sex, so you can enjoy it.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can too. Just read it. It's there. Right on the internet. If anyone wants, I can actually post it on the Discord. So, yeah. Gay witch stuff is very important. Indeed. Gay witch stuff is what makes the world go round. And Umineko great. Like, generally...
Umineko is also great because there's the incest scale.
Yeah, I mean... Seriously, what would Umineko be without gay witches and incest? Just a banger mystery, you know?
And a love letter to the mystery genre.
Oh yeah,
actually, that's what Umineko is.
Oh yeah, that's really what I love about Umineko, because like I know you can watch it and be like, oh yeah, this is good, but like if you actually read Agatha Christie and shit beforehand, you're like, oh fuck, I know exactly what this is referencing.
Yeah, that's the problem when we go into arguments about should the show reference all the shows and material. Like, literature is literally built. I'm missing words.
It's built upon literature.
It's built upon itself.
Yeah. Like, if I write something...
Willingly or unwillingly, you will reference other literature.
Yeah, like... And, I mean, there's always the irony about it, but that I would say when people are like, oh, why should I, engage with, like, an obscure book or, like, an old book or an old movie and such, and, like, the thing that's old is usually the shit that people have read and, that make your media.
And make derivatives from it. Mm-hmm. It's like you have something original. Maybe not the first of its kind, but the first that gets published and widely spread. And then there are countless derivatives from it in forms and parts until something derives enough from it and has enough in it, an identity on its own to actually make something new.
Yeah. Like, I mean, also I would say a lot of stuff nowadays, especially when it's, goes over a certain threshold of oldness, becomes very much absorbed in tropes spawned from it. Like, for example, I think a lot of people underestimate how well and tense Dracula is written. Dracula is one hell of a tense book, and it holds up. But it's not what you expect, because what Dracula became in modern, media spawned from that book just warped it a lot. Similar to, for example, Frankenstein. What do you think about Frankenstein's monster, by the way? read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's a really good book.
You mean what most people, right?
And what most people think of it. Because the tropes about it are just kind of overtaking the whole thing.
Oh, accurately would be like
Yeah.
a lot of people. Most is a bit too certain.
And to circle back a bit about Gundam, what I really hate is that a lot of people say, you know, Gundam is about murder. And like, no, Gundam comments on murder. But also, the original Gundam run actually really sets on, no, murder is at the best a thing that happens on the side. But it's absolutely bad and you should prevent it, and that makes you strong. Quite literally. Anyway. Good long part. Yeah, tropes. They kind of destroy media discourse, I think. Anyway, have a good night, everyone, and see you all on Wednesday for Borderlands. And have a bit more time, and maybe we finish it this time, because the week afterwards I will not be there for Wednesday evening.
I know.
I'm gonna watch the behind the scenes of the Miniature Wonderland. So yeah. Have a good week ahead of you, everyone, and yeah, see ya.
Bye.